cover a more complicated workflow than what Tom showed off earlier. This is just this is the workflow that I will be covering, but before I go over this in detail, I'm just going to go through the data and the models that are used in this workflow. So we'll start off on the data catalog. So this workflow is one of the NISMOD 2 workflows, so it makes use of a few of the different NISMOD 2 models. So if I quickly search for NISMOD in here, you can see this is actually the results of the workflow. This is the outputs from the workflow. I'll come back to that at the end, but if I just scroll down quickly here, you can see all of the data sets that NISMOD requires. So you've got the scenario packs. This is essentially the input parameters that you can give NISMOD and customize how you want to run it. You've got WathNet, which is the water supply and demand model that's part of NISMOD 2. This isn't in the workflow that I'm demoing. Then you've got the energy transport data pack, which is the linking model. It's the data pack for the linking model between the energy models and the transport models. And then you've got the data packs for the transport model, energy supply model, and energy demand model. And then I'll just go over to the models and then do the same search again. And again, you can see all of the different models that are part of the NISMOD 2 project. So you've got CDCAM here, which is the it's the digital communication. So this model's 5G and broadband internet. You've got the water resources model, which is, again, that's, I think, the counterpart to the WathNet model. So that models water. Energy demand model. The NISMOD 2, considering it's a systems of systems model project, and it's quite complex, it has to have a couple of helper models to link between the different national infrastructure models that are in there. So it's got a series of adapter models that can be run, and then a decision module that allows NISMOD 2 to make decisions on essentially replicate policy decisions. And then I think if I just go on to the next page, you should see, yeah, the energy transport linking module, energy supply model, transport model, and then I'll just click on the transport model to show that these have all of the same metadata associated with it that Tom showed off earlier. The addition here is that this actually requires some data sets, whereas Tom's model didn't. So you can see in this table, we have various different slots where multiple data sets can be put into those slots. And a slot is essentially just a path inside the container of the model. So here you can see the scenario pack goes into a scenario path, and then for the local authority district boundaries, there's actually two data sets that both go into this single slot. And then there's the additional parameter of whether the data slot is required to be filled or not. You can actually specify an optional set of data sets if you wish. So yeah, I'll quickly go over the workflow now. So just to start off with, the first thing that always gets run in the NISMOD 2 workflows is the decision module. This just sets up all of the policy decisions that NISMOD 2 needs to consider when running the specific scenarios that you've set it up with. Then it goes into the energy demand model. This is then it will run an adapter, a series of adapters actually, to convert the outputs of the energy demand model into a format that the transport model will accept. And then it runs a transport model, and then finally it'll wrap up with the energy transport module, which will link all of those results together and then publish those back into the catalog so that we can take a look at them. And additionally, we could add a visualize step here. So I'll just go into the energy model just to show off the various different parameters you can set. So you can see here that there's a specific, you have to specify a specific sector model. So there's a couple of different sector models, and the metadata and documentation explains this a little bit more on the actual model page. But this is one way you can customize how NISMOD 2 will run the energy demand model. Then you've got the specific model runs. So within the scenarios data pack, there are a whole host of model runs. And again, I think these are all listed in the metadata for the scenario data pack. So you don't have to just guess at this, you can find it out from there. And so here we're running the NIC energy demand plus transport model, which is what that string means. So one thing that we've made each of these models be able to do is either be run as part of a system of systems model / workflow, as in this workflow, or they will run independently on their own. So we've got this flag just to determine whether it's required to run in a sequence of models or just on its own. And then a time step. So currently this workflow just runs for the 2015 time step, but you can extend it to run for 2020, 2030, etc. And then down here, you've got the data sets that are used in the model. So as Tom mentioned, you can customize these data sets. So I'll just quickly show that off because you didn't get a chance to. It does take a little while to open that dialog just because it's loading in all of the data sets that are in the catalog. So here you can see we've got a little bit of a simplified version of the search functionality, and that's because really if you're wanting to discover new data sets, then the best place to do that is the data catalog. And here the assumption is that you have an idea of what data set you want to use in this model. So if I wanted to, I could check this test data for the digital twins event and actually make use of that and confirm that, and it will go into this scenario. But NISMOD 2 won't have any idea what to do for that, so I'll just delete that again. And then another thing that we have is the models all specify default data sets that go into these slots. So if you mess up and you accidentally delete the data set that you want to go into this slot and you don't know exactly which one it was, you can just click the default button and it will appear back again. So that's the customization options within this workflow. As I said, I've set this to publish results back into the catalog, and it just grabs all of the outputs from the last model. So with this specific workflow, the way that it works is it'll run the first model, and then the second model will take all of the outputs from the first model, and then those will get passed into the third model, etc., until all of the results are collected in this final model, and then the publish step will grab all of those out and publish them back into the catalog. So I'll just go back into the data catalog just to show that energy transport results. So you can see here there's 99 files. This would be around 300-400 if I did the full time steps, but for now it's just the 2015 ones. So you've got all of the CSVs in there, and then you can go away and visualize that. I think there is a Jupyter Notebook script that you can use to visualize this, but we're trying to focus on getting the drag and drop tool ready to work with this data set. So I won't show that off for now. I did see a question on the Slido about how you go from the results of a workflow back through to finding out the version of the code that's been run and the data sets that have been used for that workflow. So I'll just quickly show that off now. So one of the things that we do is for a data set that is the result of a workflow, we put into the creator field that it has been DAFNI workflows that have created it, and then we link it back to the specific instance or run of that workflow that has created it. So if I click this link here, it will go back to the specific instance and take you to that instance page. And then that will allow you to go through and click through each of these steps. And we don't have it here yet, but it's just about to be released. This name here will become a link that will take you to the specific version of the model that has been run in this step. And also you can see here that these are links that take you to the specific versions of the data sets that have been used to create this data set. So the provenance of the data set is all there within DAFNI. One additional thing that we are going to be adding quite soon is in the model metadata page. So I'll just quickly go to a model metadata page. We're going to be allowing the additional option for users to add a GitHub link to take you directly to their code repository if it's public. And then we'll display this on this page as well, so that you can click back through and go in and inspect the code if you wish to do that as well. I think that pretty much wraps up my demo.